Alright, welcome back to episode 4 of Putting Things into Perspective. I'm Jawan, and it's been a very long absence, and I'm gonna do my best to explain. Don't want to have like a long explanation because I do have other things I want to get to, but I realized that, and as I've already stated like in the previous episode, that right now, from the looks of it, I'm going to be doing this podcast by myself. I'm still starting out small, and I don't have everything, like all the fancy camera and just everything that a bigger podcast channel will have. And I appreciate those that are still here despite of just the long absence for 2 months. That was the last episode that I put out. That was episode 3. So, all right, now I'm just trying to gather my thoughts, because just to be real with y'all, a lot of things has happened within 2 months. And what I'm realizing is that at the end of the day, it's all up to you. Things that you started, and this is in no means, as I've already stated in the previous episode, to throw anybody under the bus, but Josh and Jonathan, they got their own things that's going on, and even though we all agreed to take just one Sunday out of each week to come together and share topics, exchange different ideas, and just bring different perspectives, because that's why I named this podcast. It was just a random thought I had. I said, well, I know we were talking about doing a podcast for a while. We just kept talking about it, but the only thing was we were separated by states, because I'm in Georgia, Jonathan's in Tennessee, and Josh, he's in Alabama. So I said, you know what, we can still make things work. And we made it to where we can do like a conference call and also record it. And that's how I've been able to do the podcast with them. But times have changed, and right now, I'm the only one that's doing it. So it is what it is. But I'm not going to make this podcast longer. A lot has happened within these past 2 months. And I've just been sitting back and observing and seeing how messed up this world has become, what this world has become, and the way how people are behaving, and just seeing politics for what it is, both sides. And I'm glad that I sat out this past election too. Now, I don't think I told y'all, but in 2020, when I turned 18, there was pressure on me to vote then. But I said, no, I need to do more research. And as I did, I had my little moment of awakening to where I saw how the left was, and how they, like, just the history of how things were with them, and how they started the KKK, and they were the original racists, but they don't want to talk, they don't want to cover that. And how it was the black people that was on the Republican Party side, and how they started the Republican Party because of how the Democratic South was. But that is another topic, and that'll be something that I will put in my other channel. So, and that my other channel, I will link it. Sorry, I'm stuttering. I will link it into the video description. So as I was saying, I realized how much our politics is just a clown show, and just politics as a whole. I'm realizing that both sides have the double standards. Both sides are hypocritical. especially when it comes to foreign policy. This is not America first. We're putting another nation in higher regard, all for the sake of them having a special place in scripture. And I'm not trying to, I mean, this channel's small anyway, so it's like, what do I have to lose? But the people that we cannot really talk about or criticize that has caused a humanitarian crisis in a specific region in Israel. I'm just going to say it. At this point, I'm behind anything. I'm being as authentic as I can. And it's not right what Hamas did. And at the same time, there were things that were leading up to this attack, and Israel could have prevented this. And now it's forced them to do what they're doing now, quote unquote, but they're not taking any pushback from it. Or if anybody does get pushback, they will get canceled, or they would get banned, or they will be let go off of a show. And just to mention a few names, Candace Owens, she's gotten left off of the Daily Wire. If anybody that is talking against Israel, it's a problem. But meanwhile, before all this was happening, we had the whole situation in Ukraine, and how the Republicans were complaining, we're sending billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. Trump was saying, we're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. We want this war to end. We want this war to end. Okay. So once you got in, he already said, well, this war will be over in 3 days. Guess what? This war is still going on. Both countries have not even come together. Putin and Zelensky, as they were supposed to come together to end this war from the beginning of this year, and it never worked out. I guess one of them had a busy schedule. I can't do anything right now. And the audacity for Putin, when Trump had sent the bombers to bomb the nuclear sites in Iran, said he wants to have a deal. He wants to make a deal, a peace deal between us and Iran, just for that. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. Dude, you got a whole war of your own. Talk about trying to fight other people's battles. You have a whole war in your backyard. Why don't you focus on the problems in your backyard rather than trying to focus on mowing somebody's lawn? You got a whole bunch of grass and stuff growing in weeds growing in your backyard, and you worried about somebody else's backyard? Like, come on, man. Get your priorities in line. So, that was still going on, and there's the war is still escalating, and there was a possible talk of Zelensky and Putin coming together this week. That's possible. So another thing that has been majorly talked about is the whole Epstein files. This stuff should have been released long before Trump went in office, long before Biden went in office, long before Obama went in office. This stuff should have been released a long time ago. Why are we waiting now? And then that was one of Trump's campaign promises. And now all of a sudden that he's gaslighting the reporters whenever they bring it up. We're still talking about this guy? We've been talking about him for years. Right? And he said, and then he deflects the question and says, we've been doing a lot within the 6 months, and this, that, and the other. We lowered this, we did this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, Trump, we appreciate that, but why are we ignoring the fact that these files were a part of your campaign promise to deliver on? And now all of a sudden you just back out of it altogether. Like, no, we're going to. And that just shows you the complete difference between both sides. The left, the reason why they lost the election is because, and I'm just being real, the voters do not hold the leaders in the high regard. Correct them when they're wrong. Just agree with everything willingly. That's the reason why. Don't question them. And if you do, of course they're going to cancel you. But in this case, we're still talking about it. At least we have some kind of freedom of speech until, we talk about Israel. So, with that being said, it's good to see supporters not agree. Now, you do have some Republicans that are like Trump. We agree with everything that he does. But I see a lot of conservatives in the comment section saying, I appreciate Trump for what he's done, but we cannot ignore this fact. If his name like this, yes, there may be names that have nothing to do with any sex trafficking or anything like that. They just so happen to be on his island just to visit. They didn't have anything to do with that. But I understand because, the left be like, see, well, these people are on the island, but you know what? Here's the deal. All of their names are on the list. You know why? Because they did not release them when Biden was in office. If they had they released them when Biden was in office and it was just all Republicans, oh yeah, you already know. They're finished. That means no Trump 2024. You already know that. So the reason why is because they know both of their names are on that list. So they're both screwed. That is why. So that's what I'm saying. Both sides are hypocritical when it comes to foreign policy. And as far as with this whole Israel situation and the wars going on is escalated over there in the Middle East. There's been some tension between some groups in Syria, and Israel decided to drop another strike over there. Like they've already done what they did in Iran. And it's been like history kind of repeating itself as far as with the whole Iraq war in 2003. And I'm talking like I've been in this world more than 30 years. I am not over 30 years old. I'm not even nowhere near 30 years old. I am less than 25 years old. I'm not going to tell you I'll tell you my age, but I'm just saying y'all know. I'm not even in this world long enough to even understand or just do the basic research. Because most people that vote, they don't do their research on things. I mean, some of them do, and the ones that are doing it is the ones that are actually making these comments saying, we need the files released. We don't have time for this. We don't have time for these games. I'm sick and tired of it. They had the social media influencers to post a picture saying, this is the first stage of the Epstein files being released. And then, the whole fallout between Elon Musk and Trump, kind of sparked some action on the internet. And people are like, kind of just poking fun at it. But me personally, before all this happened, I said, I have a feeling somewhere down the line, Elon and Trump are going to get on each other's nerves. And I said the reason why is because Elon has the electric vehicle. He has the Tesla. And you already know people have been trying to burn his dealerships down. They already, I would say they probably did. But like I said, I haven't been staying on top of the stories. They burned some cars down. So I already knew there was someone personally from the restaurant, they were telling me, yeah, they have a friend that has 2 cars. She's afraid to drive her Tesla. She would drive her Lexus, but she would not drive her Tesla. And I said, it shouldn't have to be like that, because why are you going around and burning people's Teslas up, right? But you don't even know who they voted for. And to be real with y'all, the reason why Musk had a downfall is because he joined Trump. Now, say for instance, if he did not partner with Trump, he just stayed out of politics altogether, people would still love this guy. People will still buy Tesla. There will be no burning, no looting of any Tesla stores, any of that. I mean, Tesla dealerships. There won't be any of that going on. Best and believe. So, at the same time, it's still not right for you to go and attack people just because of their political beliefs. So that's why I'm saying both sides have their flaws. It's just one side is more crazier than the other. And I stand by that. I stand by that. I stand by what I just said. And for everybody else, you can disagree or agree with it. It is what it is. But at the same time, I'm going to hold, as I've already stated, I'm going to hold the other side accountable. And as I've already stated before, I did not vote because I already knew where this was going to lead. I'm an independent conservative, have conservative values. There's some things I don't agree with. So at the same time, it's like you're getting into politics, but at the same time, you're not getting into politics, if that makes any sense. I know that kind of sounds crazy, but politics is nasty business. Trust me. This country has done some messed up things, but I'm not going to excuse other countries because we already know that other countries has done some things too. So I think that's pretty much it. It's a lot that's been happening that's transpired within the past 2 months. There's still some investigations that need to happen, especially surrounding the Epstein files, and there's been some more just in the aviation side of the world. Like, there's been a lot of things that's still happening. These planes having emergency landings, turnarounds. We lost it was very sad. We lost a flight due to, and it's still some more investigation, but we had another major loss in the air, and it was the Air India crash that happened back in June. That was the first 787 crash. Never had a 787 crash. That was the first one. And it just happened during takeoff, which was sad, and there was only one survivor out of it. And he walked out, and there was nothing but God that had him to sit where he was sitting, because the way the plane took off, and it was like it was trying to gain enough lift, but it just kept descending instead of ascending. The flaps and everything were in the right position, but it had something to do with the engine, because there was there's a feature in the plane that acts like a last resort when it comes to engine failure, called the RAM or the RAT. And it's like the propeller that comes out of the bottom or the belly of the plane. So that was out, and then it just plowed right into a school, and a lot of people did not make, most everybody did not make it except that one passenger. And that passenger also had a brother that was on the flight, and he didn't make it. So it was very sad, but it was nothing but it was nothing but God's grace, and it was a miracle that he even walked out. Like, he actually walked out of that crash. He walked out. Like, he had scars, he walked out. But there still needs some more. There's more investigation into that, but there's so many other aviation incidents, and people have been trying to say, it's because of the massive layoffs, and like I said, I'm doing my own research, So I try not to make things political. When it comes to serious issues like that, like tragedies, people don't know when to like lay off of the gas pedal. Like they want to continue to go on and on and on and just not run, but speed to conclusions. Me, I want to analyze everything before I just jump and just go off on a tangent and just start saying, oh, it was because of this, because of that, and the other, involving politics, when it doesn't have to involve politics every time. Yes, sometimes things may be political, but just try to evaluate the situation before you just jump to conclusions. But oh yeah, that's all for this episode. This was episode 4, and I'm still trying to work on seeing if I can get some other people to help me on the podcast, because like I said, I want to be consistent on here. I don't want to continue to keep making these promises over and over again and then failing to deliver on them. But yeah, let me know if any suggestions to where I can better manage. And yeah, it's just a lot going on. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts, but just let me know if there's anything that I can do better to improve this channel. And as I already stated, getting new cameras. But yeah, that was episode 4 of Putting Things Into Perspective. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts, your opinions, and any other topics that I discussed in the comment section down below. But until the next one, remember to put things into perspective. Take care.